In this video, we will try to understand the basics of NLP, and we will try to implement a basic NLP model which will give us sentiments of a movie review. As usual, before moving forward, let's try to decipher the number of steps involved in creating a basic NLP model. First step is to get a labeled data. Labeled data here in NLP context can be referred as a corpus. We need not need to get an external data for this. We will be using default data from sklearn library, which is movies review data. Once we jump into our coding part, we will understand what this corpus is. Now let's move to the second step. Second step is nothing but splitting the labeled data into training and testing part. After that, we will be using TF-IDF vectorizer. Then using multinomial NV, we will create a classification model. In this classification model, we will pass our new data. Of course, that new data will be converted into TF-IDF vector. Then it will be passed to classification model. Then on top of that, we will try to predict what is the emotion behind that new data. Here, we are trying to predict emotions behind a movie review. For example, whether a movie review is a positive or a negative. So our prediction would be either it's a positive sentiment or either it's a negative sentiment. Now let's jump into our coding part. First of all, we will implement all the necessary libraries which we are going to use for this NLP model building. We are going to use multinomial NB to create the classification model. Then we will use TF-IDF for word vectorization as well. And we will need metrics, trend test split, and NumPy and pandas, of course. If you have not installed sklearn library, it's super easy. You have just to use pip command and you have to restart the kernel after installing the sklearn library. Now next step is to download the movie corpus from the NLTK library. So this is the NLTK from where we will be downloading movie reviews data. This is nothing but a textual file containing positive and negative reviews of movies. Once we downloaded the movie reviews, it contains two types of reviews: positive reviews and negative reviews. These are all textual format reviews. So next step would be to segregate between the positive reviews and negative reviews. So this is how we are going to do it. Using field reviews, we are going to get what are the IDs, field IDs. Then on top of that, using a for loop, we will try to append all of the views in this raw data. This raw data is an array which will contain all the reviews ranging from positive to negative appended in a particular order. Once we have appended all the movie reviews into that array, now it's time to generate labels for the respective movie reviews. This is how we are going to do it. Using this, we are going to generate zero label for all the positive reviews and one for all the negative reviews. Now let's run it and see what is inside labels. If I can spell it right, yeah. So once I run it, it will say it has 0. So the number of elements it has in raw data will be similar to number of elements inside the labels, and the number of positive and negative reviews are gonna be same respective to the labels. For example, in raw data, if we access it, raw data at location 1, this is the movie review, and labels at 1, this is the sentiment behind that review. So this is a positive review. That's what it means. It's a one-to-one relation. So if we go back and look at our flow chart, we now have labeled data. Now we will try to split this data into train and test. Again, to split data into train and test, we have already function from sklearn library which we are going to use it. Once we do train test split, now is the time to apply TF-DIF vectorization on top of our xtrain data. This is how we are going to do it. We will be using TF-IDF vectorizer method from sklearn library itself, and we will have to pass it. If we want to use IDF feature, we will supply it as use IDF as true. Now in next step, what I am trying to do, I am passing the xtrain data. This xtrain data is nothing but the text from the movie reviews. I'm passing it as a transform inside TF-IDF, and once I run it, this is a new shape of my TF-IDF vector. The internal mathematics of TF-IDF vector will go beyond the scope of this video, but in layman terms you can understand it like that. Using TF-DIF vector, we are trying to create how much a word matters for a being positive or negative sentiment. After TF-IDF vectorization, now is the time to create our final model. Now this is the whole soul of our program. We'll be using multinomial NB on top of our TF-IDF data, and white-train, which is nothing but our labels being positive and negative review. So multinomial NB is defaultly available from sklearn library itself. We just have to run it and our classifier model is ready. Now how do we test whether this model is whether some good or not? So using the metrics method, if you see here, we have already imported metrics from sklearn library. It will help us to create a matrix which will tell us what the model which we have built, what is the accuracy, what is the F1 score, and what is the support of our matrices. So let's try to do it. Let's see whatever we have built does hold any good or not. We will try to create a report from the metrics which we have imported earlier and see what is the support we are getting. Okay, so accuracy which we are getting is 0.80. Eventually it means 80%, which is not bad after all. And for positive review, the precision is 83%, not bad. Recall is 76%, and for negative reviews we have precision at 78%, not bad. Looks like model which we have built has got very nice accuracy. Now let's try to test this model on a real data. Let's create a scenario which will have reviews like I love the movie and movie was not so good. This is a numpy array which eventually I am going to do transform. This is nothing but creating a tf-idf vector from this data. So after I create tf-idf vector of this data, I'm trying to do predict on top of my classifier model which I have built here. Oh, there it is, the classifier model. Now let's see what is the output we are getting. Okay, so one, I am getting I love the movie, so it's a positive review, and movie was not so good, it's a negative review. It's perfect, so at least it's working good. The model which we have built here is the most basic model of NLP. You can understand it like a hello world of an NLP programming world. In next couple of videos we will talk about NLP in much detailed way, and we will talk in depth concepts of NLP like tokenization, vectorization, stemming, stopping words. But before moving forward, we should try a hello world. Now this was the hello world to the NLP world. I would suggest you to try this program on your own. The code will be in my GitHub account and link will be in my description as well. So see you in next video.